What's up, people? All right, here we go. The boy who dared. As 1940 ends, more British bombs have fallen over Hamburg, but the Nazis have overrun Poland, France, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. There are rumors, too, about large camps being built in Poland, camps where Jews will be forced to work, and the German people are deliriously happy that God has given them Hitler and that God is on their side. Helmut, Rudy, and Brother Forbes spend New Year's Eve on air raid duty in a cold factory building that also doubles as their church. Carl should be there too, but he has found a New Year's party and sent a Mormon friend, Arthur Summerfield, as his replacement. To pass time, Helmut fiddles with a radio dial trying to tune in the station, another station other than the German Reich radio, the RRG. He twists the knob, static, twists again, and the radio coughs out a few garbled words of a Swiss broadcast. Twists again, and the radio growls German news. It's frustrating, terribly frustrating, the way the Nazis jam the airways so that German people can only listen to broadcasts approved by the Nazis. Helmut longs to hear news other than the RRG, since the German news is always the same. If he lived closer to the border, he might be able to pick up a foreign station from England or Switzerland, but not here, not in Hamburg, not with a cheap people's radio. Helmut gives up on the radio, snaps it off, and turns his attention to the card game that Rudy and Arthur are playing. Brother Forbes sits off by himself in a small circle of light, reading his worn Book of Mormon. The night passes slowly until Brother Forbes pulls out his pocket watch and calls out, "Almost midnight, boys." Helmut scrambles to his feet, out of the room and down the hall. Rudy and Arthur follow, clambering behind, up the narrow stairs, groping their way to the rooftop. They push open the heavy door and spill out onto the roof. In peacetime, the street lamps below would be lit and the city aglow with light, especially tonight, New Year's Eve. People would have been heading out to parties, all dressed sharply. Instead, the night is as quiet as it is as a shadow. Sorry, let me start that again. Instead, the night is as quiet as a shadow. Helmut digs his hands into his pockets. He gazes at the jagged outlines of buildings, at the church spires and turrets. A car rambles slowly down the darkened street, its headlights shrouded. The driver must be a high-ranking official, for war rationing means that only important Nazis have ample access to gas and food. Another minute passes, and it's New Year. Where there is no light, there is suddenly noise, church bells clang, and in the harbor ships blare their foghorns and steam whistles shrill. "Look," says Helmut. The boys follow his pointing finger across the jutted rooftops where fireworks explode. Red, blue, yellow, white, 1,000 points of brilliant light. It isn't as grand a celebration as it would have been before the war, but the boys gasp in amazement at the wonder and danger of it all. 1941, says Helmut, rolling over the feel of the numbers in his mouth, and for a moment the new year hangs there, ripe with hope and possibility. Somewhere a police whistle shrills. There's always a fearful moment to wonder who they are coming after this time. The noise, the fireworks fade, and the boys retreat to their watchroom. Brother Forbes pours hot cider, and Rudy brings out Berliners, the special jelly donuts that his mother has saved her ration cards to make. Before they eat, Brother Forbes kneels and clasps his hand in prayer. In a strong voice he says, "Lord, give us peace, break the yoke of the Nazi butchers, make us free." The boys are shocked into silence. They stare open-mouthed at Brother Forbes. He should know better. His words are dangerous and foolhardy, for Nazi informers lurk everywhere. "You better watch what you say in public," whispers Rudy. "I speak the truth," says Brother Forbes. "You can think whatever you want," says Helmut to Brother Forbes, "but be careful what you say." Brother Forbes opens the Book of Mormon and continues reading, leaving the boys to check through the warehouse every few hours. Everything appears in order. The boys struggle to stay awake, but no air raid sirens sound. Finally, they fall asleep, awaking only when 3 Hitler youths in uniform report for duty early the next morning. The boys bid goodbye to Brother Forbes and walk home. Helmut remembers the feeling of hope and possibility he felt on the rooftop. He searches for it, tries to feel it again. He feels a sudden pang of sadness and something beneath the sadness. He follows the feeling, traces it back. It's Gerhard. He misses, Gerhard. Okay, flash forward. Noon. The small window in the cell door slides open again. A bowl of watery cabbage soup is shoved through. The soup is possible to eat if he doesn't stop to smell it, doesn't stop to think about his grandmother's soup, her thick beef and barley soup, and the crusty bread to sop up the hearty broth. He longs for a letter. He'd surely trade soup for a letter. He misses his family terribly, so terribly he aches. He knows he has caused them much sorrow, much hardship, especially Gerhard. That he regrets, and only that. He gulps the thin soup. Okay, flashback. The March day is bright blue as Helmut enters the Lusenberg tenement, turns the key to the flat. The door is unlocked. Puzzled, Helmut drops his satchel by the door, finds himself startled at the noise coming from the hall. It's Gerhard, standing in the closet, a gaping duffel bag at his feet. "You're home," says Helmut. Gerhard is a sight for sore eyes, looking strong and fit in his brown Reich labor service uniform. The swastika armband fits snug. He has muscled out in the 7 months he's been away. Gerhard grins. "I am, but it's only for a few days. A week, maybe 2 at the most, until I get my draft notice." He bends over his duffel bag and takes out a brown radio. Helmut spots the bright Riola logo, sucks in his breath in amazement. "A shortwave radio," he whispers. "Where did you get it?" Gerhard grins. "The black market," he whispers back. "Paid 5,250 francs. That's 25 marks. The black market. Germans stationed in France fill their duffel bags with items rationed or no longer available at home due to wartime restrictions. 25 marks was cheap for a Rollo radio, even cheaper than the People's radio. Gerhard sets the radio on the middle shelf in the closet. He makes room next to his paintings, his railroad cars, and his violin and mandolin and mandola. He locks everything away for safekeeping because that's the way Gerhard is. "Wait," says Helmut as Gerhard inserts a key in the lock. "Let me keep the radio." "Don't be ridiculous," says Gerhard. "You can't listen to a shortwave. You know what happens to people who break the radio law." Gerhard stops mid-sentence, draws a finger across his throat for emphasis, and makes a cutting sound. Helmut's temper flares. "The Fuhrer forbids everything," he says angrily. Helmut holds his index finger to his upper lip, mocking Hitler's toothbrush mustache, and goose steps across the flat. "Swing music verboten," he says. "Jitterbug dancing verboten. Reading un-German books, singing un-German songs, staying out past 10 o'clock curfew, criticizing Adolf Hitler or the war, verboten, verboten, verboten." Gerhard grabs his brother's hand, grips it iron-fisted. "Stop that," he whispers, shocked. "Are you a fool? Do you want the neighbors to hear?" Gerhard relaxes his grip. "The war won't last forever. Soon the fatherland will be victorious, and then..." Helmut yanks his hand away, his fingers smarting. "And then what?" "And then we'll be able to take out the radio. In the meantime, we obey the law." Helmut crosses to the window, pretends to watch a robin hopping about in the courtyard. There are times when he hates Gerhard, and why shouldn't he? Gerhard is so responsible, so predictable, so resolute, always doing the right thing, obeying the law, and even when he doesn't agree with it. Gerhard stands behind him, grips Helmut's shoulders, tries to turn Helmut to face him. Helmut resists. Gerhard presses harder. Helmut gives in. Stares eye to eye with Gerhard and realizes for the first time that they are nearly the same height. "I mean to speak with you man to man," says Gerhard. "Can you handle that for once?" Helmut winces. How Gerhard can sting with so few words. Gerhard's eyes bore into Helmut's. "The Nazi government is not the first unjust government in the world," he says, "nor will it be the last, but it will come to an end." Helmut searches Gerhard's face. "Will it?" "Of course it will. Everything does, at one time or another." "No, it doesn't. Not to Helmut. The war feels like infinity. The Nazis feel like infinity." Somewhere a police siren wails thinly, up and down, regular tempo, crisis under control, just like Gerhard. Gerhard is a good fit for the military, Helmut decides. Even though he isn't a Nazi, has never been a Nazi, has never approved of Hitler and the Nazi government. Helmut tries to keep the impatience out of his voice, to sound regular and even, under control like Gerhard, as if the radio doesn't matter, but his throat tightens around the words and he feels childish as he says, "Go ahead, lock it up. See if I care." It's for the best, says Gerhard, for everyone's best. To break the radio law would be a selfish act. It could endanger our family. Gerhard pushes the closet door tight, turns the key. Helmut swallows hard at the click of the lock. The sound metals every part of him, turns him cold inside. Maybe Hitler can take his rights away, but Gerhard can't. Gerhard will be gone in a few days. He can't stop Helmut if he isn't here. All right, we'll stop right there. See you guys later.